And then if we go to the next picture, this shows an example of before and after doing the breast augmentation with the cells. So one of the issues and one of the concerns with doing fat grafting without stem cells is that you're going to have a loss of that tissue over time. And when you're doing a liposuction on a patient like this, once you take that fat out, it's gone. So if it disappears from where you just grafted it into, you're not going to have a lot of fat to go back and pull in a repeat. So you want to make sure that when you do these grafting procedures, they're going to take. And the best way to make them take is to augment them with the stem cells. If we go to the next slide, this is another example of a breast augmentation. And then if we go to the next slide, this is an example of a study that we completed where we were looking at using the cells more topically after doing a resurfacing type procedure. And so what we did is we did a variety of different square tests on the patient where we looked at doing laser resurfacing and then applying the stem cells in a gel to the surface. So the box on the left was our control. We didn't apply anything. The second box we applied platelet-rich plasma only. And then finally, the third box on the right, this is where we applied stem cells plus platelet-rich plasma. And what we found is that we could have healing of that skin much faster by applying the stem cells and the platelet-rich plasma to the surface. So this is something that could be utilized for your patients that you're doing laser resurfacing and you want to promote healing much faster. So something that traditionally took weeks to heal, we could now heal within days. So let's talk a little bit more about the concept of taking these products offshore. As I mentioned before, you're going to have a lot of patients, once you say you're offering cell therapy products, they're going to ask you about other indications. Can these be used in things like diabetes or MS? And so what we did is we partnered with a center called the Regenerative Medicine Institute in Mexico, and we can offer these treatments at offshore facilities now. So if we go to the next slide, this shows some of the protocols that are currently available. We have more than 24 protocols which are approved by an IRB. And what we're offering is an opportunity to participate as an investigator in these clinical trials. So after you go through our training process, you would have the ability to send your patients for treatments at the center for a variety of different indications. So if we go to the next slide, this shows the hospital that we work in. It's called the Hospital Angeles, Tijuana. This is one of the largest hospital systems in Mexico, and it is a full-scale JACO-certified hospital. It has all high-end techniques and appropriate equipment for doing all different testing, including MRI, C-scan, as well as all different cardiac applications. If we go to the next slide, this shows a few more pictures of the center there. The suites are all appropriate for both the patient as well as anyone coming with the patient to stay in. And then the next slide shows some pictures of the lab there, as well as that's a picture of the cath lab. And if we go to the next slide, shows all of the approvals and licenses of the facility. And we have some of the best scientists throughout the world representing us as part of our scientific advisory board. We go to the next slide. Dr. Keith March, who is the director at Indiana University Vascular and Cardiac Center of Adult Stem Cell Therapy. Dr. Sherman is the director of Cardiac Cell-Based Endovascular Therapies at the center at Columbia University. We have Dr. Ron Rothenberg, who is the director and founder of the California Healthspan Institute. Next slide. Dr. Barakat, who is at the Center for Liver Disease at St. Luke's Episcopal Hospital. Howard Leonhardt, who is the founder of a company called BioHeart. And Dr. McQuillan, who is the founder and medical director of Ageless Aesthetic Institute, as well as myself. So the opportunity is that physicians may enroll their patients in these trials, and you will be compensated for your participation in the trial. So you would be responsible for doing screening of the patients. But then the other thing that is great is you have an opportunity to contribute to the data and publish the data. So now you're going to have an opportunity to get involved with some of these clinical trials and publish data on stem cells. So I'd like to share just a couple different results from that trial. that's been ongoing. If we go into some of the clinical case studies. The first one is some of our cardiac patients. We typically deliver the cells using a catheter. It's guided by fluoroscopy, which is seen there on the right. And if we go to the next slide, this shows the improvement of some of our first patients. The first 4 patients we have 3-month follow-up on. And what we discovered is that on average, the patients are increasing about 15 percentage points in their ejection fraction. So not only are these patients feeling better, their quality of life improved, but their heart is actually functioning better by echocardiogram. If we go to the next page, this is a demonstration of their exercise capacity. The patients are able to walk on average about 100 meters further after having received the stem cells. And what this means, to put this in perspective, biventricular pacing is really the gold standard for cardiac patients, and biventricular pacing was approved with only a 20-meter differential. So we're looking at something that's 5 times greater than what is currently available. If we go to the next slide, this isn't so great because when it's in PowerPoint you can see the actual wound. So this patient had a wound underneath, non-healing ulcer, and was on the list for amputation. And so after applying the stem cells for this critical limb ischemia patient, what we found is that we actually were able to promote the wound to healing. We've done now more than 20 patients with critical limb. If we go back to the last slide, I just want to comment on the angiogram. So in this case on the left, you see this is the pre-angio, so minimal blood flow going through the leg, and then after receiving the stem cells at day 90, look at the perfusion and then the blood flow that has been increased there. If we go to the next slide, this was actually another patient that presented to us in which they had a cancer on the leg that was removed, and they did radiation and over-radiated and created a non-healing ulcer wound. This patient had this wound for more than 1.5 years, non-healing, and came in to get stem cell therapy. Within 2 weeks of receiving the therapy, the wound was healing. We actually have an updated, but I don't have it updated in the slide. It's now been about more than a month, and the wound has healed even more. So we expect this to go into full healing. I'll share with you some of the COPD results as well. If we go to the last slide. So in this case, we've done probably about 12 patients on this trial, and in the first 5 patients that we treated, we see on average higher than 100-meter difference in their exercise walk capacity. Many of the patients are able to come off of oxygen and are able to function much better after receiving the therapies. So the point really is that there's a lot of opportunity, not just with using stem cells within your own office for things like fat transfer and cosmetics, but then you're going to have patients who are interested in more, and you also have an opportunity to apply those patients to different therapies that can be utilized throughout the U.S., and we can build a body of knowledge and move forward with these therapies and eventually bring them to the U.S. So at this point, I will hand the phone back over to Dr. Krischer, and thank you for your time.
Kristen, thank you so much, and I hope that you all found this extremely interesting, useful, and educational. What I'd like to tell you in following up is that I will finish this off after we're concluded by forwarding over to each and every one of you a schedule of our upcoming training sessions, costs associated, all of our contact information. So if you have an interest in pursuing this a little bit further, you'll have all the information you need to contact us, and you'll have all the education you need, not only from a clinical perspective, but also from scheduling and cost perspective too. Again, I want to thank you all. I know it's getting late for some of you, and please join us for our webinars that will be following over the next couple weeks to couple months. Thank you so much.